A large part of the reason why I'm here to talk to you is because of the work that you're doing with diabetes and it's type 1 diabetes.
Type 2
actually. Type 2 actually.
Yes, because I think that's the type that we might be able to address with the work that I'm doing.
About the work that you were doing there with in the Congo, and I find it to be very admirable in which you're trying to look at, is it a more holistic approach with some sorts of treatments?
Well, you can call it more holistic, and but it is a one way to address sustainability in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we manage to develop products that are effective, so they're good enough to help people with diabetes, they're safe and affordable, then that will solve a great problem for them, because the people that I work, as shown here on the screen, all of them are not able to afford the products that they need. The products that they need are either insulin or some of the oral drugs that are used to treat diabetes.
And I guess what I would ask you, when you decided to first do this, was there a lot of work being done with the extracts? Besides knowing this doctor who was working with these things, was there a lot of? Is this kind of pretty new in terms of the research that's been done with these plants to try to find a more affordable solution?
Well, as far as I know, the studies that we are conducting are the first studies conducted with these plants that are used to treat diabetes, mm-hmm. and conducted with human subjects.
And what led you to going on your sabbatical to do research in the Congo dealing with diabetes? Like, was there a personal connection? Was there something that prompted you to decide that this was important work to be done?
So many people cannot afford a visit to the doctor, because a visit to the doctor will cost them $10. Mm-hmm. They cannot afford some of the medicines that they need, because they have to spend maybe $5, another $10.
And so you're saying $10 and $5, which here is $5. It's a cost of a Starbucks coffee. But what does that mean in the Congo? What is $5? What is the significance of it?
Very, very good question. Let me just put this in perspective.
Yes.
I interact with lots of people who spent a whole day trying to make $1.
Wow.
Okay. That is the situation in Congo, and that is reality.
On November 2nd, Artswego is going to have a pretty unique situation in which we're going to, on the premiere screening of A Cry for Peace, Voices in the Congo by Payne Chong, and the play written by Kyle Bass. And it's this incredible story of these refugees that have come from the Congo.
Yeah, that's why I'm so happy that Cry for Peace was created. It gives a voice to those who have suffered so much from these ongoing conflicts for so many years, and I'm so happy that it's coming to SUNY Oswego. I really think that as many people as possible should hear about those stories, and as you know, it focuses on the atrocities committed by these armed rebel groups or militia or whatnot. It focuses on the suffering of the ordinary people, the innocent people. It focuses on rape being used as a weapon of war. It focuses on young boys being enlisted in the army. I am just so thrilled that these stories are being told finally, because the truth needs to be told, and unfortunately people who are suffering are not being heard. Mm-hmm. Okay? And as you said, most people, there are still many people here in the United States who are not aware of the extent of what is happening there. Cry for Peace really brings it home.
When Artswego was trying to find a way in which, yes, we're bringing a screening of Voices of A Cry for Peace, Voices of the Congo. Yes, we want people to know what is going on, but now in a sense we want to mobilize you know, an effort to be of service. You know, I think it would be remiss on our part if we just brought people here and aggregated, you know, these feelings, but didn't leave them in a position to help. And so Artswego is going to be, you know, donating the proceeds from that benefit screening on November 2nd. But I know that you played a role in suggesting the Panzi Hospital. Was there any particular reason that institute or that organization stood out to you?
I think of a person who is so closely involved with those victims than Dr. Mukwege. I'm short of words to really say what I think of this gentleman. He has a big heart. He's the founder of the Panzi Hospital. It started as a small operation with really basic tools, and he built it apparently during the war.
Yeah, 1998. Yeah.
And, you know, I started small, and he just cared, and he decided that he was going to take on himself to treat these women that had been abused and desecrated by those militia. And is the greatest voice for those who have suffered from sexual violence throughout this war. It doesn't make sense, and I like the way he puts it, you know. And if you want to hear the truth about the conflict in Eastern Congo, listen to Dr. Mukwege. It's interesting that he's a medical doctor. He tells the truth about it. He says it does not make sense. Yes, it does not make sense. How can it make sense? After 16 years, that women are still being raped when they go to fetch water, when they go to fetch wood. It does not make sense at all. And I'm glad that SUNY Oswego, in a small way, is going to say thank you to Dr. Mukwege for the work that he's been doing for so many years. And I'm just so glad that we are able to do that.
I do thank you for your time, for, you know, sharing and, you know, giving this story, because even in a way that I personally wouldn't be able to do, or that most people wouldn't, in turn the same way in which, you know, the doctor in the Congo and just, you know, Cipriani and has worked with it. You know, you in turns too have played your role in terms of being a voice that is invaluable to the Congolese community in terms of making sure the stories heard here, you know, home side in the United States. So I do, you know, personally thank you, and I do think that your work that you're doing, I find it to be admirable. And when I found out about the work that you were doing, it was something that I found to be not only noble, but very necessary. You know, it's not one of those things that is vain or vanity or self-serving as much as it is a sacrifice. And I know that is one that you've made, so I do thank you. And to that end also, the director, Ping Chong, who did Cry for Peace, The Voice of Congo, will be on hand to give a personal introduction, as well as the playwright, Kyle Bass.
Yes.
And a spokesperson, and one who actually works closely within the Panzi Hospital Foundation USA will be on hand. So I think this is probably, while there will be other times, I think this is probably the best time to come out. So thank you too for your time.
Well, to tell the truth, my work in Congo was my way of dealing with the depression of looking at the terrible situation in Congo. So being involved is for my own salvation, so to speak. And I thank you for coming to talk to me, and for taking your time to also contribute to the success of the screening of Cry for Peace, and to making the voices of these poor victims heard in the world. Well, thank you.